All right, hello, welcome. Good evening, everyone. It's good to be back. It is currently Monday, and I didn't stream yesterday. I ended up getting a little too busy. It was a very hot day over here, and decided to go enjoy it. So, yeah, a lot has happened. What's up, Moldy Onions? Welcome to my stream. So, a lot happened over the weekend. Huge volatility today. I don't think we've ever seen this much volatility practically ever. So, we had a drop right over here. This happened yesterday. We had a massive liquidation event. Of course, this was one of the levels that we had been monitoring. $100,000 for Bitcoin. It got broken. We dropped below that and we dropped to 98,133, which I drew this little line over here from before, kind of predicting where exactly it would land. And we kind of did get exactly that. You'll notice how separated the pivot levels are from each other, right? Based off of the severe volatility that we have been experiencing right before leading up to the next pivot levels that got generated for this current week. Now, we slowed down over here. It's not necessarily a support, but I guess you could call it that because that's practically where we bounced off of the Fibonacci line at 97,700. Ultimately, it was 98,000. And this kind of little, if you ignore this, you can kind of see what I'm trying to draw out over here, right? They call this a something flag, bull flag, flag pattern, flag pattern. This one, bullish flag. So we're kind of seeing that right over here, right? If you draw these two lines like this, it's sort of what we're seeing with the price of Bitcoin right now, right? We see price going up. It's kind of going down, and currently price is coming back up. Ignore the awesome drawing. And we're expected to do that up next. Hopefully so. So we shall see what happens next. Right now, Bitcoin has practically recovered from all of its drops, reaching a high right over here, clashing at this resistance of 105,100 is where it's currently priced at. Highest point was 106,000 actually. We did touch upon that and we bounced right below once again. We do have a massive short liquidation over here, which we could be seeing very soon once we break the 107,000 barrier. Could take us out of this downtrend. I deleted another one, didn't I, just now? Let me just redraw that because I think that's what that's what this line is coming from. It's what we're going to be paying attention toward next, which by the end of this week, for sure, we should be out of this first downtrend before we break out of, hopefully, this one to continue the bull cycle. Bull market is over? No, it's not over. People were calling the double top already. If you don't know what this double top we're talking about, if we look at historically the cyclical price of Bitcoin, just looking at the charts, you don't got to be a special analyst or anything to see this kind of pattern going on. This happened in 2020, 2021. Every 4 years, Bitcoin has this cycle where it kind of repeats the same thing. It's been proven in many charts before. You'll see it. We did this, the McDonald's pattern. Double top is what people like to call it. I have a yellow highlighter, I think. Yes. There we go. There's the McDonald's pattern, right? And then we start going down from 2022 to 2023. We stayed dormant over here. And then 2024 is when we started seeing the initial rise of Bitcoin, thanks to, of course, the ETFs. And 2025 is technically when the cycle should be on, right? The bull cycle should be back on. Like I said, 4 years from 2020 and 2021 is what we're currently experiencing right now. People are saying that's the first top, and this was going to be the second one. Maybe it still is. Who knows? I really doubt it. But ultimately, you know, if it is, we can be seeing these prices once again over here once a bear market hits. Because, I mean, look at the weekly super trend. It's already risen up to 81,000, which that's a pretty good thing. That means that 81,000 definitely is the bottom, right? We should continue from higher. Like this drop that we had all the way over here. We bounced right off of that, the super trend line. This is what would technically define the bull run, and we still are a long way to go from 81,000. Of course, I wouldn't want to jinx that because we were only 16% away from it just a couple hours ago. So, I mean, it's still looking very solid, very healthy. Bitcoin is back over 100,000. That's obviously great. What did I just do? I pushed this line out. Alright, it's something like that. Either way, I don't think we'll be seeing these low levels once again. Yeah, something like that is what we got going on. And, yeah, like I said, whatever's next is these prices up here. Now, I do have a couple of, a bit of news to share. Things that have happened throughout this war, which we will be covering all of that in very good detail, so stay tuned for that. I do want to give updates on some positions that I have been operating. I have some really bad news. I lost $2,000 today. There's the news. You'll notice my available margin is 1,919, and it's not because I duplicated my money and I sent it off. I should have done that, but I didn't. I just took 1,000, entered a position, took another 1,000, entered another position, and I did it in meme coin, and yes, I violated my own rules, and I paid the price for it. Very heavy price. But who knew that there was going to be a ceasefire deal, and that specific meme coin is the one that is rising practically the most today. I don't know what coin this is. It just suddenly appeared out of nowhere. But this is the coin I was entering. Yeah, L News. So, these are the positions that I entered. Can you stop? Let's see. I entered something like this, right? Yeah, I was practically around there, and then also at 80 flat. 0.008. Those are the two positions that I entered. I was going to get liquidated. It was at 10 something, right? Something like this. I had a trigger order right below that. Right over here. And that trigger order would have pushed my liquidation a little bit higher to like 11.9, right? Well, price, you see what it did. It rose, purchased that, still got liquidated, and yeah, I ended up losing 2,000 there. So that's the sad news that I have. And if you go research this coin, a lot of things went against what I do for my typical strategy. What I look for in coins is, let me go to CoinMarketCap to pull up this specific coin. I know it's not Diddy coin, it's Banana coin, which, what even is this? Bananas 31 for scale. It's number 272 in the market cap. And I was looking at this the last time I streamed, like the very last minute that I was streaming, I was seriously considering buying it because even 2 days ago, this was massively overbought. Let me go to this chart over here, right? We were overbought right over here. And yeah, it didn't drop. You're right, because I was shorting the market. This means that I was supposed to make money. Because this has gone up a lot, I can short the market, is what we call it, short selling. You can make profit if the price of this drops down, actually. The way this works, let me explain this to you. So you have the chance of purchasing a coin, right? The exchange is giving you the coins. This BingX provider, right? They've got all the coins over here. And there is me right over here. And I say, I want you to sell your coins, sell $1,000 worth of your coins right over here, and I'll tell you when to rebuy those coins, right? Let's just say for price sake, it's at 80. I mean, 0.008, what am I saying? The price of the coins. And I'll tell you when to rebuy. So they'll be like, okay, you know what? We'll obey you. We'll give you your coins. And we'll rebuy when you tell us to rebuy these coins. What I'm going to wait is for the price to drop, right? If it drops to 0.069, I would tell them, okay, you can now rebuy the coins right over here. So I made them sell it for more expensive, and I made them rebuy it for cheaper, which means they can now buy more coins, right? Let me do a mathematical calculation for this. It's a little difficult to understand, so just bear with me on the explanation of it. If I'm telling you to sell something at 0.08, and then I'm telling you to rebuy at let's just say 0.07, just to make it easier for math, right? From here, you just saved 0.001, right? The difference between 0.8 and 0.7. That's the difference that you saved. And if I made you do $1,000 over here, the difference from this, I don't know, it could have been maybe $300. that I could have made profit from. And the exchange doesn't lose any money. And I made the exchange make some money, so they pay me that difference, and that's how I make money if the market drops. I don't know if I'm explaining this properly. It's the opposite, of course, if you're going up, right? If I purchased instead of shorting, instead of selling over here, if I just purchased, of course, you know, I bought at 0.008 and price rose to 0.12 and I made the profit from 0.8 to 0.12. That would have been profit for me either way if I went long, but I didn't. So that's the big difference. And now I have to delete everything. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Did that make sense? Let me know. All right. So yeah, if it goes up, I lose money because I was doing the opposite thing, right? You can kind of see an example of this if I look at the price right now. I drop $1,000. If I open a short position right over here, I'm not going to do it right now, but just in case. And then I put like a take profit at a lower price. Let's just say 0.10, right? As a short take profit. Why is this negative? 0.10. Okay. 0.010. There we go. I would have been making 578 from a drop from where it is right over here. If it dropped like that, I would be making $578. That's how the basics of that works. If I go long, which is the opposite towards the upside, you know, you would make money. And of course, if this goes up against you and you're short selling, you would have to rebuy that for expensive yes or yes. And there's a point where it can't go up any further before you have to buy back those coins, which means you would be buying them at a more expensive price to give it back to the exchange because you have to. That's the difference between the two. So yeah, I lost. Let me go to position history just to show you the numbers because that's important. I mean, I've been making profits and I made up to $2,000 in profit. I've duplicated the money, like, right? I started with 2,000. I made 3,900, right? And then I lost 2,000. I'm now at 1,900. So basically everything that I just gained, I lost it. Everything, all the effort it took me from the past week or two. When did I start doing this really? Yeah, June, sorry, 5? No, that's not it. June 8. Yeah, from around June 8, that's what, 2, maybe 3 weeks? Yeah, it's all gone. So I try to like make small profits and take big losses. I'm likely to make more profits most of the time, even if they're smaller. And the chances of this specifically happening, like it takes World War III ceasefire for this kind of thing to happen. And also the fact that I entered a coin that had less than $100 million market cap, which was not good. This was number 400 at one point. It's already risen by now. The market cap of this, where even is the numbers? I'm blind. Oh, here it is. 121 million. So it rose from, what would have, 80 million to 121 million. That's how much money has entered into this market. What is the difference there? $40 million? That's how much money entered this. And it went from number 400 to number 272 in the rankings. Now is the time when I would possibly consider shorting something like this because the ranking is above 300 or less than 300 in this case. And the market cap is over $100 million. That's the kind of things that I would look for in these coins to avoid this kind of volatility from going potentially against me, right? That's the kind of thing that I don't want to see. So I've learned my lesson now. I'll know for next time. Won't happen again. All right, cool. That's all I wanted to mention for this. Moving on. Ethereum is up 7% today. Oh, Bitcoin is up 4%. I didn't mention that. 105,000. I think I said that. 2,400 is the price of Ethereum today. Rising from the depths of 2,111 was the lowest point. I was really concerned with this uptrend, which did get broken by the looks of it. But I also mentioned on my previous stream, even if we if this is the bottom, which it seems like this is likely the bottom is in, okay. Easy readjustment of this uptrend to define the rest of this bull run. Alt season incoming. Possibly. That's at least what the narrative is on Twitter right now. Everything is looking very positive because of the ceasefire. And, you know, seems like we'll be good from here. Downtrend currently being tested. It's slowed down over here, also at a resistance 2,425 for Ethereum. Invalidates the downtrend at 2,500, around this resistance over here. And then easy short squeeze will help us reach this resistance and this downtrend to hopefully break out further. And this is a downtrend that we have been struggling for since our previous most recent high back in December. We reached 4,109. I drew this one fresh off of the highest points that we had in June. That's the downtrend that we'll be testing. From there is, I'm glad to say this, no more downtrends on Ethereum if we do manage to break that. So look out for 2,800 approximately. Once we do break that out, it'll be great. And Ethereum will be, of course, the altcoin that leads the rest of these for their alt seasons, respectively. Looking at Solana next, it's at 143, up 8.63%. We reached a low of 125. Would have been great DCA opportunity. I had a really cool snipe on Chainlink. To answer your question, no. Currently, I'm not making any money on Bitcoin. I already made my money on Bitcoin. I made like a $3,000 profit. And I sold at the lowest point, stupidly. And I shouldn't have done that. I do kind of regret my decision. I sold right over here. Because I was with this whole war stuff that was going on. I saw United States got involved. I'm like, yeah, it's over. It's just going to last forever. This war. American people are going to die. Other countries are going to get involved. It was a bleak time. And rightfully so. Everything, the whole crypto market was bleeding. Everybody was getting liquidated. That's also part of the reason why I decided to short that other coin, because I'm like, this is a meme coin. Why is a meme coin going up 15% in a day when literally World War III is going to happen? Like, do people not even care about their money anymore? I mean, will money even matter when there's a nuclear warhead upon us, right? So that was my mentality, and I said, you know what, I'll rebuy once the war has blown over. And it seems like it's done. War is done, but by the time, you try to react, market will outpace you. You're not a robot. These institutional investors, they got natural language processing on their AI trading bots, and the first article that comes out with positive sentiment will immediately buy the news, and you're not going to outpace that. It's all automated, and you got to be a really good coder to do that. I've learned all that stuff in fintech when I studied it, but I'm just a single man army, so how am I going to do this? And also that too, Iran is not going to fight us, because indeed they will lose. They had nothing. They really had nothing, and they even tried attacking us back. The response they gave was pretty futile, but it was just a safe base, is what most people are saying. Which we'll get into all that. All right. But great recovery so far. Solana, one of the top leaders here. Sui, oh my gosh, Sui absolutely wrecking. I'm just going to skip over XRP because of how relevant it is. Sui is currently testing that invalidation zone already. 285. The current price is 280. Similar deal to what I was talking about with Ethereum. And I knew I was going to get confused by this. That is the new uptrend, I guess, that we have to draw out. Can we see this from longer? Probably. I think we can. Do you think this will match? Let's do the test. That looks good. I mean, it could help if we do taste another drop for Sui. Another 25% drop, which absolutely can happen, by the way. This is the uptrend that will really matter if this downtrend does continue. Because who knows? Maybe markets start taking profit over here and we start dropping once again. That would probably be my opportunity to start buying in, especially if you panic sold like I did. I don't want to call it that, but I guess I panic sold, and textbook definition, that's what I did, as much as I hate to admit it. Whatever. Yeah, that's the kind of deal. XRP also ripping it today, 7.06% up. What is going on? I press Control Z to undo, and it just goes to a completely different price. I'm on a weekly chart. I'm not on a weekly chart. 4 hours. Current price is 215. We reached a low of 190. I had a trigger order executed over here at 198 before, so that one is absolutely in profit. You have invalidation over here at 224, 230 mainly will easily be destroyed, I feel like, because that's a mass liquidation zone, and it's also been a very important resistance support zone in the past. So yeah, we did get very liquidated over here. lots of longs. So that explains this dip over here, and of course the continuation of it later on. Yeah, not much else to say for XRP. We do have some news to cover for it. Likely the next ETF to get approved, by the way. We already have one in Canada, but I don't really know who really cares about that, but I mean, it exists, so that's good. Litecoin's still on the rise, by the way. 85, currently breaking out of its resistance at 85. Gonna test 87 next. 88.66 is where we have this invalidation of this specific downtrend. I know I drew a couple, but just to fan out where we're gonna see some resistances is what I thought was important. I feel like these dips for most of these are like very, very unfounded, right? Seems like we have to draw like a new uptrend based off of the most recent dips from the lows that we saw in April 7 or April 2nd as well, too, maybe, on some altcoins. Or February 2nd, sorry, not April 2nd. Yeah, so Litecoin's doing well so far, 6% up. And last coin is Cardano, 7.59% up. Resistance clear right over here at 61 cents with 3. We're currently testing one at 58. And this support worked out perfectly well. I hope I had a trigger order here. I'm pretty sure I did. 22nd of June. Yeah, I wasn't live that day. Do we even have an uptrend? No, that was just a support. That's how crucial that support was. That is insane, the fact that we saw this for Cardano. The support right over here. All right. Those are the coins that I typically analyze. I won't bore you with it anymore. Overall, great recovery day. A little bit shaky because of a little event that happened today as well. We will be discussing that coming up next. All right, here we go. What happened over the weekend? As you already know, like I'll just give you a brief summary as to what has been going on. Israel attacked Iran on the basis claim that they have nuclear weapons. They're 15 days from achieving one, and Iran bad, they will bomb us, so we must bomb them, is basically what has been going on. So they started attacking their military leaders, their nuclear scientists, carrying out assassination strikes. Very precise. Good on them, I guess, for being able to do that. Took down a lot of powerful leaders. Iran is left without leadership, most of it, and also some air bases as well destroyed. They even had to like fly some planes out, like their most important ones, because their air bases were getting destroyed. They don't want their planes to get destroyed with it, so they would just fly it around until, you know, the missiles stop from Israel. Iran then says, okay, well, we're retaliating, and they send hundreds of missiles back at Israel. Iron Dome, not as effective as most people believe. Not a lot of missiles were intercepted. A lot of them did make contact in places like Tel Aviv and all that. Israel, of course, is urging the United States by this point to get involved into this war. United States and, I mean, the Americans in general were like, we don't want, you know, boots on the ground. We don't want this war to happen. We don't want to get dragged into the war by Israel. So they were trying their best to stay out of it, although they were always, you know, kept informed with what the next move was, most of these cases. Here and there, the war has been just, you know, send missiles back, just back and forth. I might be missing a couple of details in the middle there, but after that, ultimately, the pressure gets to Trump. Trump says, okay, Iran, you've got... I'll decide within 2 weeks whether or not we get involved with this whole war thing. But Israel keeps on pressuring the United States, saying, but in 15 days, you realize they're going to have their nuclear weapon. So the United States decides to act, and act immediately. They did. That happened on Saturday, and I covered that live as well. The United States got involved in the war. They used B-2 stealth bombers with bunker-busting bombs to ultimately destroy the nuclear facilities in, what was it called? Ishfahad. I'm not going to remember all the names. There were 3 main sites. And their satellite imagery of, they actually seem pretty preserved on the top, but because they were bunker busting bombs, like they have to dig into the earth and then explode at the bottom, right? Couple meters deep. I don't know how long, kilometers maybe. I could be wrong. I don't know the specifics of it. But yeah, they carried out the successful strikes. Nobody was injured, I'm pretty sure. They came back home. Everybody was celebrating, but now we're concerned, okay, what is Iran going to do next? Well, they don't have their nuclear weapons anymore, likely, if that was all destroyed. A lot of missiles and air bases, like all the refineries, most of it is destroyed, right? So they have no realistic way to fully retaliate, especially now that the United States got involved. This was a big spark of concern for a lot of people because, okay, United States gets involved in a conflict between these two nations. Now, other nations can get involved backing up Iran. Those nations possibly being North Korea, China, Russia, among the main ones. But those countries have their own things kind of going on. Maybe not North Korea, but Russia has Ukraine that it has to attack still and sort of defend itself from. Like, that's still an ongoing war even after all these years. Maybe, has it been 3 years yet? Probably. Yeah, it's been 3 years. And then China, of course, concerned with their economy, and they got their focus on Taiwan. I don't think and they're always been advocating for peace nonetheless, except for the Taiwan part. Um, they kind of just been watching on the sides, not really doing much. Sure, they have intel as well, and they're getting their people out of the countries. Like, okay, we want people that are in Israel to get out, just in case we have to bomb Israel. Oh, and the people in Iran, yeah, also get out. Leave the airports. Don't roam around there anymore. Because Israel might bomb you. That was the kind of thing that was going on for a while. We didn't know what Iran was going to do. That's where we left off, and that's where I'm going to pick up from. All right. So, Sunday. We know that Sunday evening is when the futures market open. Futures market being the commodities and the indices for the countries, right? They could be Japan's indices, every country's indices, I guess, opens by then. S&P 500, right? It just gives you a basic idea of where the market is. People can trade it still, right? And what most people are paying attention to here is the price of oil, because Iran controls almost 20% of the world's supply via the Strait of Hormuz, which we'll talk about. And also, futures, indices, S&P 500, NASDAQ, all these markets that correlate to the US economy. How is that going to react? Are people going to get rid of their stocks and buy gold instead? That was what people were questioning. Well, it was a little suspicious at the start because the market actually opened very, very little bit in the green. You'll notice crude oil was up 0.5%, which is painfully low for oil. It should have been rising like it has been in the past couple of weeks. Maybe all of this was already priced in, but we've seen 7% pumps, crazy numbers like that. But we didn't see it this time around, especially with the big news that the United States got involved, which confused a lot of people. Why isn't the price of oil going up? The market disagrees that there is a World War III going to happen. The smart money probably knew something about this, and that's also something that I noticed too. I just couldn't stream it live. I was going to share this with you guys anyway, not to kind of say that I was right after the fact, but you get the point. This is the Strait of Hormuz, this place between the United Arab Emirates and Iran, a place where a lot of the market of oil gets transferred through, right? And in response to the United States' attacks on Iran's nuclear facilities, their parliament officially approved closing the Strait of Hormuz for the first time since 1972. This would impact the shipment of 20 million plus barrels of oil per day, which it's something that should skyrocket the price of oil because everybody needs oil. That's just one fact. And the other fact is that, all of this oil, it's going to create less supply and a higher demand for it, especially given the fact that everybody's going to panic buy oil. So you should have seen the prices of oil skyrocket. It's just basic supply and demand. But we didn't. And that's what people got suspicious. Like, okay, what is really going on here? Why is oil's prices not increasing like crazy? Well, Trump kind of played a part in this. First of all, he called on China, Iran's ally, to stop them from closing the Strait of Hormuz because it would disrupt global oil flows. And he also posted this on Truth Social saying, hey, everyone, I know this is crazy and you think that oils is going to rise. We all think this, but keep the oil prices down. I'm watching, and you're playing right into the hands of the enemy, so don't do it. If you increase the price of the oil, of course, Iran has so much of it, they're going to get more money for it. So it was kind of a way to impact them economically so that they don't get a lot of money in order to fund any form of a retaliation that obviously was to be expected. They have to retaliate. They're not just going to take a big slap in the face by the United States and do nothing. That would just prove them to be little girls. I don't know what to explain it as. But that's kind of what has been going on. US bombed Iranian nuclear sites, and Iran's parliament just voted to close the Strait of Hormuz. 15 hours after the futures opened, though, you'll notice these prices, the movements, they're not very big. They're 0.5%, right? S&P 500 futures, the US economy basically, was in the green. Oil prices were in the red. Why? The absolute opposite should be happening times 100, right? This is just the market telling you that we're expecting a short-lived conflict, that this is going to get resolved very fast. Who knew? Well, the smart money, the insiders. I don't know who really knows this stuff, but none of us would have expected this. This is all just news to us, and we're like, okay, what is even going on here? This does not make any sense. We need an explanation. We'll put that aside for now. Let's move on to Russia here. This is Dmitry Medvedev talking about the situation that has been going on in the Middle East. He commented this on Twitter, saying that what have the Americans accomplished with their nighttime strikes on 3 nuclear sites in Iran? 1. Critical infrastructure of the nuclear fuel cycle appears to have been unaffected or sustained only minor damage. This comes after the fact that Iran said, oh, your little act of defiance means nothing, and we're just going to continue making our nuclear bombs, and at a faster pace too, by the way. So that was one thing. Second, the enrichment of nuclear material, and now we can say it outright, the future of production of nuclear weapons will continue. That's part of that. And number 3 is the most important one. Number of countries are ready to directly supply Iran with their own nuclear warheads, which is what we all feared and why the market started dropping. Well, at least the crypto market. Crypto's 24/7. That's what everybody was really paying attention to, the price of Bitcoin and its movements, right? We were seeing these low prices over here, which was not great. So the fact that Russia mentioned supplying Iran with nukes is what really ticked off Trump. He posted this on Truth Social saying, did I just hear the former president Medvedev from Russia casually throwing around the N-word? He's talking about nuclear, N-word, nuclear. If you don't get the reference, the meme is that Trump said that before in a news report on Fox News. He was being interviewed by, what's his name, Brian something. The guy asked him, like, no, Trump asked him, oh, you know about the N-word, right? And the guy's like, nuclear? Like, yeah, exactly, nuclear. It's a terrible word. I don't want World War III. I don't want nuclear bombs. Yeah, that was the meme. Anyway, Trump says that Medvedev says that he and other countries would supply nuclear warheads to Iran. Did he really say that, or is it just a figment of my imagination? He's kind of being a little playful over here. If he did say that, and if confirmed, please let me know immediately. The N-word should not be treated so casually. I guess that's why Putin's the boss. Yeah, thank God for Putin. By the way, if anyone thinks our hardware was great over the weekend, far and away the strongest and... okay, what? The best equipment we have, 20 years advanced over the pack, is our nuclear submarines. Okay. They are the most powerful and lethal weapons ever built, and just launched the 30 Tomahawks. All 30 hit their mark perfectly. So in addition to our great fighter pilots, thank you to the captain and crew. Okay, well, just a rant, I guess, from Trump later on, but he didn't appreciate the N-word being thrown around like that, is the bottom line for it. And Dmitry Medvedev responded to this, saying, regarding Trump's concerns, he just made his stance on the war clear. I condemn the U.S. strike on Iran. It failed to achieve its objectives. However, Russia has no intention of supplying nuclear weapons to Iran, because unlike Israel, we are parties to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. So he's trying to play the good guy here, the mediator. I know quite well what this would entail, having overseen our nuclear forces as president, but other countries might. And that's what was said. He was saying other countries could be supplying Iran, not specifically Russia. Just to clarify things is what he was doing. And we definitely shouldn't be arguing over who has more nukes. All the more so because the New START treaty, which I once signed with the US president, is still in force, for now. The question is, what comes next? And he's right to ask that question. Okay, what comes next? This came next. No. Did I just read this? Okay. This came next. A senior Iranian political source says Iran may strike the U.S. military facilities within hours. So all of the Gulf of Persian's U.S. military bases were placed on high alert at this kind of news. Israeli intelligence also confirmed it. We're possibly going to expect an attack from Iran in retaliation. So we were seeing, okay, what is going to happen next? That is when, out of nowhere, Qatar officially shuts down its airspace, just out of nowhere. A country that is very tiny, had nothing to do with this war, really. They do have a U.S. military base in there, though. They decide to shut down their airspace. Sure, fair enough, maybe in preparation for what's coming up next. But why specifically Qatar, right? Also, by the way, Trump posted this. It's not politically correct to use the term regime change, but if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be a regime change? Make in Iran great again. I almost said India. What am I doing? So he basically said this. I don't even know why you would say this. Of course, the clear objective of Israel is to take out Iran's nukes. But there's this also thought behind it, like, okay, they've been doing this with every other surrounding country. Maybe they want a regime change like they have done with every surrounding country, every other Arab country, Muslim country, Egypt, Syria, all that stuff, right? So maybe they want to do that with Iran as well, which would technically be considered the final boss. Anyway, Iran happened to send missiles. They coordinated an attack on a U.S. airbase in Qatar, with the Qatari government giving advance notice to minimize casualties. Oh my gosh, I can't read. Iranian officials claimed Iran symbolically needed to strike back, but they also wanted an exit ramp, similar to 2020. So it seems like it was a peaceful strike, if you know what I mean. Every Iranian missile that was launched was intercepted. There were no injuries, and the troops are all safe and sound of the American people. And Trump posted this. Iran has officially responded to our obliteration of their nuclear facilities with a very weak response, which we expected and have very effectively countered. There have been 14 missiles fired from Iran. 13 were knocked down. One was set free because it was headed in a non-threatening direction. I'm pleased to report that no Americans were harmed and hardly any damage was done. Most importantly, they've gotten it all out of their system, and there will hopefully be no further hate. I want to thank Iran for giving us early notice, which made it possible for no lives to be lost and nobody to be injured. Perhaps Iran can now proceed to peace and harmony in the region, and I will enthusiastically encourage Israel to do the same. Thank you for your attention to this matter. That explains this candlestick right over here. Iran launched those missiles at U.S. military bases. We're like, okay, it's over. We're getting attacked by Iran. This is exactly what we didn't want. And nobody knew that this was a planned attack. They notified everybody before the attack in private, right? So that they could prepare. That's why Qatar's airspace was cleared. That's why, you know, they mainly focused on Qatar. They were able to intercept every missile. They were ready for it. They saw it coming. So it was all coordinated. Once Trump said that, thank you for letting us know, by the way, markets started pumping on the news once again. And we'll explain what this candlestick did later on. Thank you for your attention to this matter. This is the big news. World War III has been cancelled. Iran has officially responded. I said that already. They're saying now with this. First, he posted a post saying this. Let me find it. I am unorganized. This is not it. It's posting a lot of stuff. This. Congratulations, world. It's time for peace. That started pumping the markets once again over here. And this candlestick, of course, came from the fact that this post came out. Congratulations to everyone. It has been fully agreed by and between Israel and Iran that there will be a complete and total ceasefire. There you go. It's done. Ceasefire will be happening. It will be in approximately 6 hours from now when Israel and Iran have wound down and completed in their in-progress final missions. So they have to finish up their missions. They're given 6 hours to do so. And then for 12 hours, at which points the war will be considered ended. Officially, Iran will start the ceasefire, and upon the 12th hour, Israel will start the ceasefire. So 12 hours, 12 hours. Upon the 24th hour, an official end to the 12-day war is what he's calling it, will be saluted by the world. That is why I've titled this stream a 12-day war, and the ceasefire is live, of course. The other side will remain peaceful and respectful during the ceasefire. On the assumption that everything works as it should, which it will, I would like to congratulate both countries, Israel and Iran, on having the stamina, courage, and intelligence to end what should be called the 12-day wars, something that's going to be written in the history books. This is a war that could have gone on for years, which market did priced in the opposite of that. They priced in something to end very fast, and this is surprisingly very fast, hence why we're seeing a massive pump right now. It could have destroyed the entire Middle East. It could have gone on for years, but it didn't, and it never will. God bless Israel, God bless Iran, God bless Middle East, God bless the United States of America, God bless the world. President Donald Trump. Thank you for that. Wow, Trump is, I don't know, kind of got us into this war, but kind of got us out of it. A little spooky, a little questionable at times, but ultimately, I guess this is the outcome that we all want to see, is a ceasefire, no more wars. Wars, bad. Peace, bullish for Bitcoin. Maybe from now on, we can start seeing the rest of the bull run as we deserved. And this falling bull flag pattern, whatever you want to call it, is our way back up, hopefully, once again. And he has a chance of winning the Nobel Peace Prize. I'm pretty sure it was Pakistan nominating Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize that could be won. It's funny how immediately after they nominated Trump, he just attacked Iran the next day. That was pretty funny. But hey, you know, he actually made peace in the Middle East by the looks of it. We'll see if these two countries do follow through, Israel and Iran, with their ceasefire deals. Iran is now fully denuclearized by force because they didn't want to come to the table and negotiate. There you go. You got to fear Trump is what the message is being sent out to the world. Apparently, Zelensky has a 15% chance of winning the Nobel Peace Prize. Like what? Clearly rigged system. Anyway, that's all done. In spite of all this, everybody got liquidated, no matter if you were long or short. $215 million were liquidated in the last 4 hours alone, right? 200 million approximately were from short positions. A lot of shorts got liquidated also because people were expecting, okay, we're in war, we're going to short downward, right? Well, you're wrong. Ceasefire happened and everybody got liquidated, myself included. So it is what it is. I'll wait for, you know, days to start getting shaky again, low volatility days, and something starts spiking up by itself. That's not a meme coin, and that's above $100 million market cap and above ranked 300 or less than 300. Like 300 to 1 is what I'm trying to say. That's a good opportunity for shorting. I know that now. Who bought in the middle of all this? Nothing stops this orange. Michael Saylor purchased more Bitcoin, although a surprisingly low amount. He's likely out of cash is what people are saying. He only bought $26 million. I say only bought $26 million. It's still a big amount, $26 million. That's pretty good. At an average price of 105,856. Safe to say he was in profit for about a minute. Yeah, good for him, I guess. Keeps buying Bitcoin every week is what it seems like. And he's also, you know, influencing other people to buy. Anthony Pompliano is announcing a $1 billion merger to create ProCrap Financial, a Bitcoin native financial services. That's going to bring more Bitcoin purchased into institutions, which would be a good thing. Even Michael Saylor congratulates it. And Anthony says, thank you, Michael. Your idea is spreading globally as people realize the value of Bitcoin. You know who doesn't like Bitcoin, though? Microsoft, Amazon, and Meta. They have all said no to Bitcoin as a treasury asset for now, stating that there's too much volatility and unclear value. Volatility, I can agree with. Value, I mean, this should be worth $1 million, but, you know, you get the point. Boomer mentality. Thanks to all this now, I know there's a 20% failed correlation rate with M2 money supply, but now we're back on track for it, probably, right? We should be. There's no more reason for Bitcoin to drop anymore. World War III is practically cancelled. So we can start worrying about the upside once again, because this deviated completely, right? We were and I mentioned this to you guys before as well. We were expecting a rise in the price of Bitcoin for these last weeks of June, leading up to July. We were probably going to hit 120,000. I was even predicting 116,000 by the end of the month, maybe. Though it looks like we didn't really get there yet. But now that the war is over, I mean, we now have a chance of just breaking that all-time high. And if we do, bull market is absolutely back. I probably would have regretted selling over here. But hey, even if a pullback does happen, I'll just be buying in again. It's no big deal. Ultimately, you don't have to capture the perfect price. You just got to capture the right moment where price starts rising, right? That's ultimately what I gotta pay attention to. Maybe I'm just coping, but I don't know. Bloomberg analysts have placed the odds of an XRP spot ETF approval at 95%. That is also bullish for XRP in general. Likely the next ETF to get approved, but you shouldn't really trust these percentages. We've seen the same percentage for Solana before. We've seen the same percentage for Litecoin. And was it Solana or was it Sui? I think it would have been Sui, actually, yeah. But ultimately, nothing's confirmed until the XRP ETF doesn't actually get approved. So we still gotta wait. Tesla rising over 10%, by the way, as markets react to the robo-taxi launch. I covered this on, I think it was Friday or Saturday, that it was going to go live in Austin, Texas, and it's completing its road trips, and it's going pretty well so far. So Tesla deserved rise going up. Last bit of news I want to cover. FedEx founder and billionaire Fred Smith has passed away at 80 years old 2 days ago. Did you know this? This is a pretty funny story. Don't do this, by the way. He saved his company from potential bankruptcy, FedEx, back in 1973 by gambling the last $5,000 of the company's funds on a blackjack game in Las Vegas, which he actually won, and he got $27,000. That unexpected win allowed FedEx to cover a critical fuel bill and continue operations for another week, which gave Smith the time to secure additional funding and restructure the company's operations. And now you see FedEx outside your door delivering your stuff. That is just a wonderful story. All right. Cool. That is all for today then. So yeah, ultimately good stuff for Bitcoin. Back up to 105,000. Just like I said, it goes to show you how fast sentiment can change. In terms of what I'm going to do with my life, I'm probably just going to have to wait this out a little bit, let things cool off. Or maybe I'll just start going long again. I mean, a lot of these opportunities were great. If you'll notice RSI, by the way, I can't even highlight it, but great buying opportunity, right? For Bitcoin, great buying opportunity for Ethereum, right? Solana, I mean, you should have bought these, by the way. I did. Did you? On my other account. Not on most of them as much as I would have wanted to. I don't even know why I didn't do that. I was too blinded or something. Litecoin, great buying opportunity, oversold, right? This is stuff you got to pay attention to. Great buying price for Cardano as well. Alright, yeah, that's all I'm going to mention. That's all I have to cover anyway. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see what the rest of the world's response is to this. I'll try to cover that stuff. I can't cover it tomorrow. I'll be busy. I'll do it on Wednesday. We should also be getting some economic data to bring us a bit of volatility, hopefully. Wednesday, nothing's happening. Thursday, it's going to be GDP and then PCE Friday. So we got to pay attention to that. After that, next week, non-farm payroll is Thursday. All right, that'll be pretty good. Why is it Thursday? It's Friday, July the 4th. 4th of July is Friday. So that's why we're getting non-farm payrolls on a Thursday. Usually these come out on a Friday, but Friday's going to be, markets are going to be closed for the United States. So that makes sense. Canadian markets will be closed July 1st, of course. That is our Independence Canada Day. Yeah. Cool. Fun week next week. And important data end of this week. All right, so stay tuned for that. I'll be covering all that once those days do come around. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure you like and subscribe. I will see you, like I said, on Wednesday. Have a good evening. Take care. Bye.